What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of The Opinion. In boxing, on February the 1st, 2025, a card headlined by PBC and David Benavidez and David Morrell. That card in boxing, overall, it delivered. It was a card that had Pitbull Cruz and Fierro on the undercard, as well as Jesus Ramos, Stephen Fulton. The entire card delivered. The main event delivered. David Benavidez was the favorite. He won the fight kind of in a way that most people expected him to. Now, I personally thought that David Benavidez would stop David Morrell, but you have to give David Morrell credit. Even though David Morrell lost this fight, even though he lost this fight, David Morrell actually gained in popularity because this fight was so good. And the overall card of boxing was so good, in particular in America, because we know over the last several, months, or really over the last year and a half, Turki Al-Sheikh has really kind of taken over boxing in a good way. But a lot of his cards have been over in Saudi Arabia, which, there's nothing wrong with that. But in the year of 2024, in the last half of the year, we really didn't have any big fights in America as it related to the sport of boxing. And this right here was really more so the first big fight in America that actually delivered. Now, you can argue, what was this supposed to be pay-per-view or not? But I will say this: those who did buy it on pay-per-view, I don't think they come away saying that, hey, I threw my money away. They got their money's worth. And I'll get into that later as well. Let's more so focus on the main event. And then I'll basically shift my focus towards, the state of boxing in the United States as it relates to PBC, Top Rank, Golden Boy, and what have you as well. So in particular, this fight, David Benavidez was the favorite. David Benavidez came in, looked very, very impressive, kind of got a little sluggish and tired at the end, but you can understand that because he is a 175 pounder. He's a guy that he wasted a lot of punches, probably hitting the gloves and the guard, but a lot of his punches did get through as well. So with this being said, now David Benavidez, and here's the thing: a lot of people, because he's a PBC fighter, I can tell a lot of PBC haters really wanted David Benavidez to lose, but essentially that was not to be the case. And now David Benavidez will await the winner of Artur Beterbiev and Bivol. And me personally, I know this may be a hot take. I think Benavidez beats either one of them, whether it's Beterbiev or Bivol as well. So at the end of the day, David Benavidez, he is the next star. He is the next American star in boxing, because you can't take anything away from him at this point in time. At where he's at in his career, just like David Benavidez said after the fight, every fight that he's taking, the next opponent is a bigger opponent than the last opponent. And you pretty much start with when he fought Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant, at that point in time in David Benavidez's career, that was his hardest fight. He beats him. Then he fights Boo Boo Andrade. Boo Boo Andrade was a bigger opponent, probably more so than Caleb Plant, and basically an opponent that a lot of people had ducked. He beat him. Then he moves up to 175. He fights Vosnik as well. Now, he didn't look, he didn't look his best in that fight, but he got the job done. Then he fights David Morrell, from a professional perspective, does not have, the experience that a lot of fighters have. But David Morrell, in terms of his skills, David Morrell was the best fighter that David Benavidez had fought up to date. And now he's now set himself up as the mandatory for the winner of Bivol and Beterbiev too. So the only way that I see David Benavidez doesn't fight these guys is if Bivol possibly barely gets a win over Beterbiev, and then they try to make a trilogy out of that. But I think at some point, David Benavidez is going to have to fight Bivol and or Beterbiev. And like I said, I think David Benavidez beats both of them as well. Now, let me shift this conversation onto the state of boxing as it relates to boxing in the United States. Because, like I said, I think boxing delivered. I got a text from a friend of mine, and this friend of mine sent a text to me and said, you know what? That boxing card was action-packed. The entire card, not just the main event. The entire card was action-packed. He said he enjoyed it, and that gave him hope in boxing again, especially with a lot of these younger fighters coming up. And he said that up on the heels of watching this PBC card. So I say that to say this. There's a lot of haters of PBC out there. And I just want to come out and say I'm not a PBC fanboy. I appreciate what all of the boxing promotional companies bring to the table, whether it be Turkey Al-Sheikh, whether it be Matchroom, Golden Boy, Top Rank, PBC. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just here to watch as many of the fights and many of the good fights as I can. But I say all that to say this. There's a lot of haters out there of PBC, which I really can't understand why there's haters of PBC when, to me, in the United States, PBC puts on the best cards. They put on the best matchmaking in the United States. Now, a lot of people said that this David Benavidez and David Morrell fight should not have been pay-per-view. Okay, you can argue that. It's probably not a pay-per-view worthy card. But if you're going to say that, because even if you say it's not a pay-per-view worthy card, you can't deny that it still was a good card and the card overall delivered, because you had Fierro, you had Pitbull Cruz on the undercard, you had Jesus Ramos, you had Stephen Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa. Now, I know that fight, the second fight, didn't live up to what the first fight did, but what I'm saying is that the Pitbull Cruz and Fierro fight lived up to it. That was probably the best fight on the entire card, and then obviously the main event lived up to the hype as well. So with that being said, if you're going to say that fight did not deserve to be on pay-per-view, which I'm not arguing that point, why is it that Top Rank, who doesn't put fights generally on pay-per-view, why is it that Top Rank gives us cards that are duds? Now, I just want to back up a little bit. This same friend of mine who texted me and told me that basically this PBC card gave him hope moving forward in boxing again. Whenever Top Rank cards are on, I text him all the time, hey, there's a fight on. And do you know what he says to me? Oh, there's a fight? I didn't even know. Oh, I missed it. Oh, I'm too busy. Top Rank, a lot of you all that criticize PBC, you don't give that same criticism to Top Rank. Top Rank consistently puts on dud cards on the headliners that shouldn't even be headliners. They should more so be undercard fights, and their undercard fights are basically worthy of a pay-per-view's prelims as well. So with that being said, Top Rank has taken a lot of money from ESPN, and that's probably why ESPN is getting away from Top Rank. Top Rank has taken a lot of money from ESPN, and they have not delivered. They're with ESPN. They probably have the best deal in the United States there is. They're with ESPN. They don't market any of their fighters to ESPN. They don't put any of their fighters on any of the other ESPN shows to get the notoriety up and to hype up the fights or anything like that. The best thing they do, they put a little banner at the bottom of the screen saying a fight Saturday night at 8, and nobody tunes into half of this stuff. And you wonder why people like Terrence Crawford has left, Shakur Stevenson has left, Teofimo Lopez sounds like he's wanting to leave Top Rank, because they constantly put their best fighters in with dishwashers and trash cans. They put their best fighters up against C-level competition, and nobody wants to watch that. Now, you guys can complain about Tank, and Tank's not fighting this guy, and Tank's not fighting that guy, but at least PBC's putting him up against B-level competition. And B-level competition, there's always that chance that a B-level guy can beat you, but a C-level fighter is not going to beat you as well. So with that being said, if you're going to criticize PBC, I have no problem with that. Just give that same criticism to Top Rank, who has, like I said, they have the best platform out there because it's ESPN, it's on free TV, or ESPN Plus, which is $10, $11 a month. They keep going up on their subscription price. But yet and still, they are not delivering. For the most part, Top Rank cards fail to deliver, especially here over the last 2.5 years. Most of their cards aren't that great. The main event might be okay, might be okay. And like I said, they're putting because Top Rank has some good fighters, but they're not matching them up against anybody. They continuously match them up against C-level fighters. You had Teofimo Lopez fighting Steve Claggett the last fight. I mean, what kind of stuff is this? So, like I said, to me, what PBC did last night, PBC kept boxing alive in the United States. Because if it wasn't for PBC, a lot of you guys hope PBC goes out of business. If it wasn't for PBC, what boxing would we have in the United States? I mean, you have a top ranked card coming up with Keyshawn Davis. That's an okay card. It's okay. I mean, it's not the worst. It's better than what they have been doing. But for the most part, top ranked cards are just absolute trash. They don't bring any notoriety. They don't bring an audience to the TV, and it's free. They have the best promotional, platform you can have with all these other ESPN shows, and they do nothing with it. So all I'm gonna say is keep the same energy. If you're gonna criticize PBC, you have to criticize Top Rank. And last night's fight, I'm glad that PBC was able to put something on. And guess what? PBC will be back in a month when Tank is on, and that Tank card will be better than any of the other top ranked cards any of the other top ranked ESPN cards that ESPN has coming up as well. But drop your thoughts. Let me know what did you think about last night's fight? What do you think Benavidez is going to do forward? And then what did you think about my second part of the discussion between Top Rank and PBC? Is Top Rank getting a pass from the fans? Drop your comments. I want to know. Leave your comments, and I'm out.